Greetings and welcome to the Quest for Wisdom podcast, where we search for nuggets of wisdom from the lives of some truly amazing people. Today's guest is Remko Dirkmaat. Remko is a serial entrepreneur who founded Instagreen, the microgreen farming and consultancy company. He also founded a venture consultancy company to aid young entrepreneurs in their journey and help them avoid mistakes. At the age of 40, Remko turned his life around when he started training in jiu-jitsu, and he has now achieved his purple belt. I have rolled against Remko, and he is a force of nature. Today we discuss microgreens, vertical farming, discipline, martial arts, and much more. Remko is an experienced and disciplined human that radiates optimism and perseverance. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Welcome, Remko Dirkmaat.
Thank you very much, Connor.
To the 13th episode of the Quest for Wisdom podcast. How does that make you feel?
Pleasure to be here. Well, I'm actually superstitious, so being number 13...
I just thought, that thought did cross my mind, and I was like, oh God, I hope this goes okay.
Why didn't you invite me for number 14, which is my lucky number?
You should have told me, I would have. Luckily, it's not a Friday, but you are a human.
For sure.
You are also a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, which you recently got.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
You are also a microgreen farmer.
Yes.
Which some people will probably be confused as to what that is, but we'll go into that. You are also an entrepreneur.
I am.
Having started various different companies.
Over 6 startups.
Over 6 startups. And you are now a person that doesn't fit in a box because there's no name for this yet that we know of. But you are a person that is helping others to launch their companies from an idea.
Yes.
Some form of consultant, a venture consultant. I like the sound of that, which you just said, but we don't know the exact terminology for it yet. But out of all of these things that I just mentioned, and I know you just mentioned you don't like being put in a box, but I'm going to do it anyway. Other than human, which of these would you put at the top of your list?
What I put on top of the list is a designer or entrepreneur.
Okay.
And for my private life, I would be a BJJ purple belt. This is what consumes most of my thoughts in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of my time, actually. I tend to train about 2 to 3 hours a day. So that's a lot of my time.
And it is very convenient as well that your microgreen business is directly next to the jiu-jitsu gym.
It's like literally next door.
Where we actually met. So I want to start, first of all, with the microgreens part of it. Very interested to go into the rest of it. We're going to start with the microgreens. What are microgreens?
Microgreens are basically the first start of any plant that is edible. So every plant comes from a seed. Once a seed gets water, it will start to grow. So the first 1 or 2 weeks of that growing process, this is when something is called a microgreen. And then after 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month, depends a little bit on the species, it will start to become like the real mature plant. In which case it will be less edible, or it will become chewy, or it start to bear fruit, or it starts to grow. So the first 1 or 2 weeks of a plant is a microgreen, and there's a variety of species that are best suited for consumption in that first phase. So you can have rucola microgreens, you can have pea shoot microgreens. There's a large variety. Daikon, which is radish. Or you can even have basil plants growing, so you can have basil microgreens.
Okay.
The nice thing about microgreens is that since they just start, they pack a lot of nutrients. And they tend to have more taste and more nutrients than the adult plant itself.
Okay. And how much more nutrients are we talking?
Well, there's been a lot of studies on it. It depends a little bit per species. Sometimes it's like 6 times, but there are species that have 40 times more nutrients than the adult plant. taste-wise, they taste much more intense. And I don't have a level of intensity, but I'd say at least double or triple the regular taste. So basil or lemon basil microgreen tastes so much better than just a leaf. But yeah, in general, it packs more.
Okay. And so, if I'm understanding correctly, microgreens grow quicker, and well, you can harvest them quicker, and they have a higher nutritional value.
Well, it's what is quicker. The microgreen is just the start of a plant. So any plant will start growing, and they will grow at the same speed, more or less, as a regular plant. You can even have a seed of a microgreen, plant it in your garden, and then have a regular plant coming out of it. Obviously, they have been selecting the right species and crossbreeding a little bit so that seed is better suited for microgreen growing. But in general, you can get an adult plant out of it as well. So that is sometimes we have plants that we weren't able to sell or that we forgot about, and then we just put them in the garden or on the balcony, and then they will keep on growing.
Okay, right? but you're doing it. The whole point is to, like, you can harvest them quickly, so they're an efficient way to get a high amount of nutrition.
Exactly. So if you want to add a little bit of extra nutrients to your dish, then microgreens are a perfect way to do that. It's always dangerous to talk about diet stuff or this is more healthy than that. But in general, everything that is green is is healthier than a pizza or a burger. So, but you can use it to add some extra nutrients to your diet. There are also dietitians that use certain types of microgreens to add a certain type of vitamin or a lacking nutrient to the diet of somebody. But then you need to consult with a dietitian that has knowledge about that. We have a list of all the nutrients that are readily available in each specific microgreen. But yeah, you need a dietitian to actually say, like, okay, you need to eat more sunflower microgreens, or you need to eat more red cabbage microgreens because that's good for XYZ. But in general, it's super tasty. They have a lot of taste, so we used to add them to almost any dish. Like even if you make a pizza and then you just throw some microgreens on it,
then you can feel less guilty about it.
Yeah, exactly. You can eat it with a clear conscience then.
Well, I'm a big fan of high efficiency nutrition because I don't particularly like eating green things. I'm not gonna lie. But I want the nutrition. So, like, for now, I've gotten into, excuse me, I've gotten into just eating raw broccoli and raw cauliflower because I feel like they're like to me, they're like the best ones. And people always laugh at me because I just eat like a whole head of broccoli.
Yeah.
And I just but then I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, why am I going to bother cooking something that I don't even enjoy anyway?
Yeah.
I may as well just eat it raw. And it, like, to me, it actually tastes nicer raw. But it's all about the efficiency of getting that stuff inside me.
Yeah.
And also, like, I heard that when you cook a lot of vegetables, you actually lose loads of the nutrition from them.
Yeah, if you overcook them, yes. But if you cook them slightly, like blanch them, like quickly dip them in hot water, and that will actually soften up some of the fibers. So that makes it easier to absorb. Maybe that's a good investigation for, like, if you're into efficiency, it might be more efficient to quickly blanch them because your body can absorb them better.
I've also heard that. That is the next step of my efficiency. For now, I'm just like building it into my diet, just like eat lumps of broccoli and cauliflower.
I think that actually the humans have become more efficient, or a more efficient animal, because we are cooking our food, so that makes it easier to absorb in your intestines, right? So eating raw might not be the most efficient thing.
No, one thing I've started doing, which is a little bit similar to the microgreens, is because I don't eat meat, So then I eat a shit ton of legumes and beans and things like that. And because when you're trying to eat like 600 grams of chickpeas per day, like it gets pretty intense on the stomach. And then I heard about sprouting, which has revolutionized my whole life. Whereas like you soak the dry chickpeas, or I do it with chickpeas and mung beans, soak them overnight and then leave them to germinate, to sprout. And then it converts the reason why the legumes cause us bloating and discomfort is because they've got phytic acid in them. And then as they sprout and grow little like tails ready to be planted, that process converts the phytic acid into more nutrition. So it's basically like eating a little tiny embryo, which is pretty cool. It's like a little plant,
when you say it like that.
When you say it like that, it's a little plant fetus or something. And I'm like, that's what I like thinking of it now as. And it's got rid of all my bloating. It's got rid of that. And I can just eat loads of these things.
And still get your proteins in.
Still get loads of protein in it. And I'm like, why did I not find this out earlier? Why is not everyone doing it?
I haven't thought about it like that because I don't like legumes because it gives me so much gas. So
removes all the gas, totally.
Cool.
And in the same way, it actually increases the availability, increases the amount of nutrition, and it increases the amount of nutrition your body can absorb because it's breaking down, again, I suppose probably the fibers or something in it that make them difficult. So I'm loving life because of that.
Nice.
And I do the same thing with nuts as well. Like almonds, when you soak them, it does the same thing, breaks down. I think, again, it's phytic acid, and then makes them able to be absorbed more.
That's smart.
It's very exciting.
It's actually the difference between sprouts and microgreens that is something that you haven't mentioned yet, but at Instagreen we give trainings to other entrepreneurs that want to start their urban farm within the city. And we have devised a 3-day training. And one of the things that is in the first day of the training is that there's a large difference between sprouts and microgreens, because sprouts are actually in, like you said, in a jar with water, and there they sprout in a wet environment, which tend to be more prone to bad side effects. So you can get like salmonella or E. coli. I'm not sure which of the two. One of the two.
Probably both.
Probably both. So if you don't control it, if you don't wash your water regularly, then there's some negative side effects. Whereas microgreens are grown like they call they're dry growing. So it's only the root that is in water or in a substrate with which contains moisture, but the rest of the plant is dry, so it won't get those bacteria on it. So that's a difference between sprouts and microgreens.
Okay, and we need to just backtrack a little bit. So your company Instagreen, you took me in to see because people probably are confused now still about what microgreens are. You took me in to see your, would you say, laboratory?
A vertical farm.
A vertical farm.
Indoor vertical farm.
Indoor vertical farm, which was really cool because I'd heard about vertical farms and I'd seen them on the internet and stuff, but I'd never actually seen one. And to me, obviously, the microgreens, they're in like a little, kind of like, almost like a takeaway box, isn't it? Like that sort of size. And then it's basically like, just looks like grass really growing on the top of it, more or less. There's different colors, wasn't it? Slightly.
Yeah. It depends on the microgreen. There's different colors of microgreens. What we do is we grow everything not in soil but in cellulose because that's more hygienic. So what you have, something that's called a cup. It's a holder for microgreens. It's the way that we sell them. It's a 11 by I think 8.5 centimeters wide PLA cup, which is biodegradable, and there we add a layer of cellulose, and that we moisten. It becomes a sponge for water, and there we put the microgreens on, and they start growing from there. There's millions of ways to grow microgreens because, in the end, it is a seed. It is a plant. It wants to grow. You can even put microgreen seeds on concrete if you want. If you add water, it will start growing because it's life. It wants to grow. But we do it in this way. There's other people that use soil or cocoa peat or other materials that they grow their microgreens on.
And can you explain what a vertical farm is and the way that your one works? Because I thought it was mega cool.
Well, vertical farming actually, what it does, it solves a couple of problems that regular agriculture has. For normal agriculture, you need large plots of land.
Fertile land.
Fertile land. You need to water those. You need to water it a lot because a lot of the water that you put on your land will actually evaporate or go down in the soil, right? So it uses regular or conventional agriculture uses a lot of water, and it uses a lot of space. So in order to create agricultural land, you need to chop forests or whatever, and then make that flat and work on that. So what indoor vertical farming does is it actually says, like, okay, yeah, but what do you need to grow something? You need a substrate where you can add your plant on, and since it cannot float in the air, you need to put it on something, and then it needs to receive water and sunlight or light, right? So what if instead of having one large agricultural field where you grow everything, you just chop the field up and add those as layers on top of each other? Then you get vertical farming, and you can all of a sudden produce in a much smaller area the same amount of crops. Now, the second handy thing is that you can actually do it in a building.
Yeah.
So you can protect the environment where you're growing, and that reduces the necessity almost to zero of pest removal, or pesticides or fungicides, because you can grow in a controlled environment. So you don't need to spray your crops, and also you can recycle the water that is not absorbed via the roots. You can just capture that and reuse it within the system. So there's a lot of benefits to vertical farming, actually. And if you do it indoors, you can do it all in a controlled environment. It makes it slightly less natural, or it makes it feel less natural, because agriculture is not natural. It's in the word agriculture. Culture is everything that is created by man. So even putting mice or wheat on a land is not natural. It's natural would be to walk into a forest and eat berries and eat whatever the forest or the land gives you. So this is just the second or the next level in agriculture.
And one of the things that I thought was especially cool was like the recycling of the water. I think is really cool. And so for people that are like, maybe struggling to imagine what this is like, it's like a big. If you imagine just kind of like a big metal cage almost, isn't it? With then just layers, like these big trays on them, and every like
30 centimeters
or something, there's another level with more trays on it. So you've got like 10 centimeters of substrate or something, and then 20 centimeters for it to grow. So then, going up 2 meters, you've got 6 or
8 layers.
Eight layers. So you've got so many different plants that are growing. You get exactly 6 times as many as you would if it was just on the floor.
Exactly.
But then the water is going through and then just being recycled in a big loop around. And then was it you or was it somewhere else I saw it that has the dehumidifier that sucks the humidity out of the air?
Yes.
And then puts it back into the loop. And then recycles it round. So then, and that can be done on a bigger scale as well, to suck it out of the air outside if needs be. Which I just thought was so cool. And I've seen some really awesome vertical farms growing all different types of plants, outdoors even. And there was this guy, and he'd created like, that was it. He created like this kind of spiral vertical farm, which he'd said
on the top you would be able to harvest. Or,
and like there was just loads of cool things, and
there's a lot of different techniques for indoor farming. So you can water your plants in different ways, and these are all have technical names like hydroponics, aeroponics, aquaponics. There's even stuff where you can grow plants, and from the residue that comes from the plant, so all the roots, they become a little bit pulpy. You can feed that to fish. And the fish will actually eat the remainders of those plants.
Then they shit out the stuff.
They shit out the stuff, and you use that shit to as fertilizer for your plants to grow. So,
that's so cool.
there's this beautiful company outside Barcelona also that does that. They're called Green and Blue. They have a very nice aquaponics farm, and you see them in all shapes and sizes. So it's. We think it's something of the future. It will never replace agriculture as a whole, because you need a lot of space to grow crops to feed the entire world population. But we think it's actually taking some of the pressure off the regular agriculture lands. Also because you can, since it's indoor, and this is the last benefit, you can grow all year round.
So unfortunately now, part of our conversation was lost due to us jinxing it for it being the 13th episode. But tune in for the second half of the episode where we will continue this fascinating conversation.
When?
I think I just hit the space bar and exited that. But like literally just then. Like I literally just hit it then.
Okay.
But yeah, so like they say to me that drinking and stopping taking drugs, like that must be really hard, and going out and not drinking must be really hard. And it's like taking the decision to stop is hard. Mm-hmm. Stopping it is just requiring not doing it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that it's hard to not do it, but it's all the other stuff that comes around it, like going and socializing with people, and then you realize that you're awkward and socializing is difficult when you're not used to socializing without drinking. It's like, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
It's like the not drinking is like, sometimes you want to, but it's like, that's fine. That's just a case of not doing it. Mm-hmm. It's like all the other things, and like the unwinding of all like your mental issues and everything like that coming to light. Like that's the hard part. The not doing it is kind of the easy part. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, and it's kind of a strange question, but I don't know. Now I don't know, maybe I'm a bit of a masochist. I just like to make things difficult. But it's like, what you're saying about walking up the stairs. I just started, like on Sundays, with my housemate, we do like our own little CrossFit thing. Because at my gym, they've got a CrossFit section, so you can go out there. And one of the exercises we just do like a circuit of like 6 exercises, 4 reps, but like non-stop. So it takes like 45, 50 minutes. That's why when I arrived, I had gone home and showered, but that's why when I arrived, I was still pouring with sweat because it was really hard this morning. It was really hot. But one of the exercises that we do, and it's like, I think it's one of my favorite exercises, is you like with a big sack of sand. Yeah. It's like, it's only 45 kilos, but then walking up this like quite steep, this like platform, this ramp, it's probably like 10 meters up and then 10 meters up, but you're going quite high. So it's kind of like walking upstairs, but with the bag on. The first times we did it, it's pretty hard. This is the third time we've done it. It's way easier now. And that's only after 3 times. And like, when I think about challenges, I with anything in life, I think of them like the gym. Mm-hmm. Everything's hard when you start. Yeah. You suck. Like when you first start going to the gym or doing any sport, generally you suck. And then it gets way easier
once you start doing stuff.
Once you start doing it.
This is something that I learned as well. When the first time I rolled with my professor Michael, you know him as well. He has a good amount of body mass.
He's massive.
He's massive. So the first time he's on top of you and he starts crushing you, you want to die. This is literally the first thought. I'm going to die. And then you want to tap out, and you're tapping in, and he says, no. You learned the technique to get out. Just get out. And you're like, no. Your brain cannot handle such stress, right? And then maybe after 30 seconds he will let go and release a little bit of pressure. But the second time he does it, you're thinking, okay, hey, I survived the first time. I can maybe I can use some technique to get out. And then after a while, after you've been rolling for a couple of times and you've been crushed a couple of times, you think, oh, okay. I mean, it hurts. It's not fun. You do want to get out as soon as possible, but at least you can survive. So if you can take that pressure, I remember that I had that realization when at work, at a freelance project that I was doing. It was a bit of a hard time, and the client was giving a hard time, and I was getting stressed about it, and I thought, why am I actually stressed about this while I can stay or remain cool underneath a person that is crushing me, literally trying to kill me? Well, not trying to kill me, but it feels like that. Why can I stay cool under that circumstances, but in work not? So that is when I actually changed my chip. Like, okay, if I can remain cool under pressure in jiu-jitsu and somebody trying to crush me, I can do so in work life as well. So it gave me a good like how to say, like a life philosophy or a lesson. Like, hey, you don't need to stress. You can survive. You can get out of the situation. Just use the proper technique.
Just use the proper technique.
Just use the proper technique, and that doesn't count only for martial arts, but also for everything, all the other things. If you're in a situation that you don't like, use the proper technique and get out, right?
Yeah, I love that. I love this. It's so nicely put. And it was I had a similar thing, like when I started performing, doing the comedy and poetry and stuff like that, and obviously absolutely dying inside when I wasn't on the stage on the first time and for the first 10 times. And now I still am really nervous when I get up, but it's like way less than the first time and the first 10 times. But like, it was the same thing as that. I thought to myself, if I can do this, everything else is easy, because like public speaking for a lot of people is like, it's really frightening, like one of the most frightening things to do. And it's like, then I was like, if I can just get comfortable doing this, then socializing will be easy, you know, like business meetings will be easy, like just general life will be easy. But it also got me onto realizing that, you know, you see some people that you see are like really charismatic and they're really good at socializing, or they're really good at being on stage, or they're really good at sport. And you just think that these people are just like born instantly like that. And there are some people who are just naturally amazing at certain things. But most people,
but the majority isn't.
Most people have just practiced, or like they've read a book about it, or they've watched people online, or they've, you know, actually paid attention watching how other people do it, or they've just practiced. And it's like I wrote like a small little piece about this yesterday, that it's like talent. We're all hoping that we've got innate talent in something. When in reality, it's just hard work and discipline that gets you most of the way. And if anything, sometimes a talent can be a hindrance, because then you kind of think, well, I'm talented at this. Don't need to put as much effort in.
Then you make it everything comes easy, and then you don't put the work in.
Yeah, and it's just hard work and discipline. That's basically it.
Yeah, it seems to be like a podcast theme nowadays. Like discipline. But it really is that way. I mean, how do you grow? Well, by keep on doing something. And that's not always going to be like fun, or it's not going to be like super duper every day, but you just keep on going, and then you learn how to solve whatever you're doing.
Yeah, because I did a performance back home, and some people came to watch me back in England. And then one of the people that was watching, they said to me, I was talking about like, you know, I have to write every day, and I made this thing to myself to write, you know, 10 minutes every day before bed or whatever, and 10 minutes in the morning. And I'm doing it every single day, and I was, and I still do now. And then they said, why are you making yourself do that? It's like, why are you doing it if you don't want to do it? And I'm like, well, like, it's not... If it was just up to doing what I wanted to do all day, I would eat junk food and watch movies.
Be on the beach all day
and just do nothing. I was like, if that was like what comes easy and like natural to just do that. Obviously, you have to, if you want to be a writer and you want to be a performer and you want to be a businessman, you have to do that stuff, even if you don't want to. Sometimes you really get motivation and you really love it. Sometimes you don't. But it's like, who cares? like, just do it. Like, and then a year down the line, once you've done that, you know, you'll have 10 pieces of writing or something, or you'll have a purple belt or whatever it is. It's like you just do those little things. And I think like the advice I would give myself if I was younger is, and stop trying to do really massive, big things, you know, like stop trying to make yourself write for 5 hours. It's like, just write 10 minutes a day.
Exactly.
Just 10
Make
minutes
a couple
every
of
day.
sentences.
Every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, or like now I got a band guitar. So it's like a mixture between a banjo and a guitar. And when I was younger, I played the guitar, but I hated practicing. So I never got like, I was just like average, I suppose. And then now I've had the band guitar for like 2 months, and I've probably progressed more in these like 2 months than I did in about 10 years when I was a kid.
How did you do it?
Just 15 minutes every so often. Just like every day. Well, most days, yeah, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes of concentrated, just like learning a few techniques as well, which is something I never bothered doing before. Learning a little bit of theory, and then just practicing for like 15 minutes. And that's all it takes. And then if I do 15 minutes a day for a year, I'll probably be able to play like 5 or 10 songs pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh,
it's
yeah, but
awesome. In like
if
15
you
minutes
look-
a day.
If you look back on yourself, like 1 year ago, you've learned so much. Well, if you look at yourself now, you think like, okay, I'm just fiddling around. I know how to play a little bit, but probably you've progressed a lot just by doing it every day a little bit, right?
Exactly.
So, I think that's a lot of people that don't look back in that way on whatever they have achieved. They think they're not achieving anything, or they suck at something, or but if you look back, like hey, how was I like 1 year ago or 2 years ago? Then you probably progressed. If you keep on doing the good thing.
And so, tell me about the new business, the venture consultancy.
Yeah. So what I found out in also in the doing the trainings at Instagreen, I found out that what I'd like to do, or what I really have, feeling with, is starting new things. So when somebody has an idea. For some reason, I'm pretty fast in grabbing their idea and thinking through the consequences if they want to create a venture or a business or start something up with that. And what are the first steps that you need to take? So, okay, what are the consequences of that thought or that vision or whatever you want to achieve? Okay, like we're saying now, okay, if you want to be a music player or a guitarist, you're probably not gonna spend all day, every day on the guitar, because that won't be feasible, right? But how can you get there? Well, you may have to make like a 3 to 4 year plan and start doing. If you want to create a new product or a service, what do you need? Well, you first need to test if people actually value what you envision and want to pay for it. So why don't you make what they call a minimal viable product, something that just barely works? It's probably not exactly what you envisioned, but at least it gives you gets you into testing mode and see if people like it, yes or no. So this is what I found out that I really like that first process, helping people out, and I started helping some friends that had some business ideas, and now it's on a more professional level that I just help people to start or make a new brand. It's also something that I notice is that I'm not an expert in one thing. I like to do a lot of things, and not just one thing. So I'm able to help with a lot of things. So from grand vision to strategy, but also doing grunt work like building a website or writing an email template for your online marketing or whatever. So as long as it gets your idea from that, I wish I would have done something, or I wish that into hey, people are actually doing what I want to help them with.
Yeah. Nice. So how many clients have you had so far?
I just started to do this a couple of months ago, so I'm now like 4 clients. And actually, after this podcast, I'm going to another one. Somebody who has an idea of a new business, and it just starts with a talk like, okay, what do you envision? How do you think you can help others? If your main goal is to I want to make money, then obviously that's not going to work. Everybody wants to make money. So if it would have been easy, then everybody would do it. I think you should first start with how can I give value to people, and how can I create something or do something that other people actually want to pay me for or pay me back in any way or form. And then that will come. So this is the first talk. Like, how do you want to help others, and how do you think that will be of value to them? Because this is what a business is: creating value for others, and then you will get something in return, which is either money, or people will help you on your cause, or whatever, or they give you goodwill. They say, hey, maybe you should talk to this person, and this person can help you in your purpose.
Nice. Well, it's a very exciting project to be doing.
It definitely is.
I would love in the future, I have a dream to be an angel investor, but like a more of a hands-on angel investor. So angel invest and also consult. To actually work with people, because I think it'd be so fun.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned that before, that you are quite a broad person that doesn't like going too much in depth in one thing. I feel like I'm the same as that. Like it's exciting just to be like, okay, you need to do some sales, you need to do some marketing, you need to do some logistics, you need to do this, you need to do that, and hopefully 10 years down the line, when I've got a lot of business experience, then I'll be able to do that. A little business experience and some money to actually angel invest in people. Then I can do that.
And here the same counts. Like maybe you should invest in somebody that you know that just needs 50 euros for something. Maybe they need to invest in buying something on Wallapop because they like creating furniture, and they saw something on Wallapop for 50 euros, and if they do their magic on it, it will be worth 200 euros, but they lack the 50 euros. This is the basis of investing, right? So start small. You don't need already millions to invest. And there's other ways to invest in people as well. And this is something that I do also, is like I help other people to actually get started. And sometimes I do that without getting value back, or without getting paid yet, because I know it's an investment from my side to get them running. And once they go, I know that they will actually come back to me and say, okay, hey, now I have money. Can I please make use of your service or knowledge or
so that was going to be
wisdom.
That was going to be my next question. Do you charge a fee, or do you ask for a percentage?
That differs. That's it's not fixed in stone. Normally, it's a hourly rate. Sometimes it's just for the pleasure of doing it.
Because it is fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. But also you yourself, you need to maintain a living. So it's not that you can do fun stuff for free for everybody for always, because you need to pay your rent and have food, and probably want to go on holidays also.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So.
And so you mentioned before that you've done over 6. You've started up over 6 companies.
All of them failed except for 2.
And what are those?
The Instagreen is still going strong. Actually, I used all the knowledge that I had from those previous ventures, and I used it in Instagreen. And I used to have like a architectural visualization company that after that went well, but that I stopped because after 12 years of doing visualization, presentation, animation, all these kind of things, I got too bored with it. And then I started like 3 startup companies in mobile apps, but for different reasons they all went down very quickly. So I got a lot of practical experience in failing, and it actually gave me a lot of insight on how business works, but how growing or building a business actually works. And that's knowledge that we now also use in the training for Instagreen. Like, okay, don't fall into this trap, or don't fall into this trap, or.
What would you say were the main things you learned along the way?
A lot of people, especially engineers, they fall in love with the solution, not the problem. It's and it's a cliche. It's a cliche, but you see that a lot of people invented something, but they don't know the purpose or the value of it yet.
Yeah.
And then they start looking for, hey, how can this what I invented be of purpose? And then I think that is it can be done, but it's very hard because you have to find a market. I think what I notice is it's easier to see a problem that you want to solve, because that actually gives you a purpose, and then finding a solution to that. Because if you do it like that, then it gives you a lot of flexibility in the way that you solve a problem. Just a practical example, for instance, at Instagreen, one of our core values or our vision was to supply fresh and nutritional local food to everybody on the planet. And that started out as, okay, we need to build a business here in Barcelona, and then once it goes well, we go to Madrid, and then we go to the other cities in Europe, and then we expand. So in the next 10 years, we will expand to the entire world and have companies everywhere.
Then the moon.
Then the moon,
then
Mars. And then the rest of the galaxy, or the multiverse. So obviously, at a certain point, COVID hit, and we start to realize that maybe we could do the same, not building companies everywhere around the world, but training people on how they could start their company. So one of the core values of Instagreen is also impact above money. It doesn't say that money isn't important. Money is important, but we value impact a lot. And so you might as well have the same impact, like global impact, by training others with everything that you know, and getting them have their companies kickstarted. Actually does the same. It's the same problem that you're solving, but the solution is different. So that is an example of how you should fall in love with the problem and not the solution. Because if you have the problem clear that you want to solve, then it doesn't really matter which solution, as long as it solves the problem. But it's very hard to think in problems instead of solutions. If you talk to people like, okay, what is your problem? They immediately come up with a solution that they thought of, like, oh yeah, I think we should do it like this and this and this and this. Yeah, but I think you should first have the problem clear, because then you can think out of the box and look around for possible solutions. So this is the thing that I think it's really of value to have that insight, to get out of the, hey, I have this thing and I need to get it into the market, because then you have a tough cookie to crack, right?
Yeah, no, that's a very valid point. Like, because I suppose that a lot of people have problems, but they don't necessarily know what the problems are. So they're, like, I suppose in Instagreen's case, it would be people are not getting enough nutrition.
Well, there's different problems that we want to solve. We want to solve the global, basically the planet is not doing very well, or well, people are not doing very well to the planet, and we want to change that. What are ways to do that via nutrition, via the ways of growing? So there's multiple things that we want to solve with Instagreen at once. We actually found a solution that is highly nutritional and healthy, because we wanted to produce fresh and healthy local food. So a microgreen is very capable carrier of health. So producing healthy food was not the only driver of Instagreen. But we found a solution which actually carries all the problems that we want to solve in one, like having a vertical microgreen farm. So that's I think we got a good solution there.
I agree. I think it's very cool. And so, like you mentioned as well that about the problem, and it just reminded me of when you do sales training, and it's like, find their problem, dig into their problem. What's the pain? What's your pain? Tell me more. And then right at the very end, you're like, oh, because you've told us all of these problems, we actually have the perfect solution that fits all of your problems. It's
Don't you agree?
Don't you agree? Like, sell the solution right at the end. But yeah, I suppose it is about uncovering those problems always, like digging into the root. What are you trying to solve?
Yeah, but because this is where the value is. This is why I mean, what is money? Money is somebody doing something, and you want to exchange that work, knowledge, or that value, and somebody has to say like, okay, I've been spending eight hours in the office today. I got so much money, and I actually want to spend that on solving my problem. Or I want somebody to solve this for me. So you're not going to spend money on things that don't solve problems or don't give you hope of problems being solved. So there's very little people spending money on nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people
spending money on nonsense.
But they hope it will make them happier, or people buy stuff because they think it will give them happiness or something, and maybe that will be temporarily the case, but after a couple of minutes or hours or days, it will go away probably. But if you solve a problem, then you've solved it for good. Then at least you got that out of the way.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, you explained it to me very nicely, your passion for jiu-jitsu, like when you got into it and how that's impacted your life and your recent purple belt. So would you be able to regurgitate some of what you said to me before? Because you started off by mentioning that you'd just done your purple belt.
Yes, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago,
yeah.
Congratulations.
Proud owner.
And that is how many hours on the mat now?
I think it's over 400 hours on the mat.
That's
400
crazy.
Or 600. I've taken account of the hours, and it's more than 400 to 500 hours. I don't have the book here, so I cannot check, but
which I think is awesome. Like, we're talking about hard work and discipline, and that's like, martial arts are revered as one of the top things in terms of discipline, because you go in there, you're doing the same movements, you're practicing, it's strength, it's mental prowess, it's chess, it's everything. So what brought you into that? Because you mentioned you only started when you were 40, which seems like late to a lot of people.
It's really late. Most people start when they're young. Most of my training partners are young, like 20, 30-year-olds. I actually never thought that sports was a big thing until I hit 40, and then I noticed, like, hey, shit, I'm only 180, 1.80 but I weigh 95 kilos. That's pretty much overweight, almost obese. I don't have a lot of energy. I feel fatigued a lot, and I also felt very insecure when I was going out on the street, because I wasn't mentally strong at that time, and I thought, okay, I need to change that. As you mentioned, Instagreen is next door to the academy in Barcelona. So I thought, okay, let me just give it a first try. I just wanted to learn how to get a little bit more confident on the street. And when I started loving it. It made me feel so good every time I trained. There are a lot of hard times, and you think, I'm not progressing or whatever. But if you look back, like the same with your banjo guitar or ganjo, what was the name?
Banjo-tar.
Banjo-tar. Like if you spend a little bit of time on something continuously, then when I got my blue belt, which was after 2 years, because I'm a slow learner. Also, when you're 40, you tend to not take information so rapidly. So I was much slower than my 20-year-old partners. But after 2 years, I got my blue belt, and it actually, I thought I didn't do very well at that time. I thought I didn't learn anything, and then my coach said, "Yeah, but look at the new people coming in. Can you handle them?" I said, "Yeah, of course I can handle them easily." And then all of a sudden I thought, yeah, but you shouldn't compare yourself to the rest, because everybody's going faster, especially the young sportive guys, the athletic guys. They go super fast and they beat you in no time. But if I look back on myself, like compared to 2 years ago, I was nobody. I lost almost 15 kilos of weight by that time. I felt more confident. I was able to cope with bigger people going to the mat for the first time. I was able to handle them. And I thought, okay, so this is it. This is what you should be doing, and this is why you go in every day. Not to be able to beat others, but to be able to become a better version of yourself. And that sounds a little bit corny or cliche, but it's not a cliche for nothing. And once you get into the rhythm, and you just have to trust the process. You trust the process of learning slowly by doing, making mistakes, getting choked. I got a lot of injuries. I'm constantly in pain, which if you say it like this, it sounds really weird, especially to people who don't do martial arts. It sounds weird. Yeah, my shoulder hurts, my other shoulder hurts, my shoulder blade, my ribs hurt a little bit, and but you get used to it. You actually start enjoying it, because like, okay, if this happens, then something is happening, and you're getting stronger. At the gym, there's this nice photo of a very big guy, super strong muscle. His arm muscles are as big as my legs, and it says, strength is the product of struggle. And that's really the case. I notice now how I became much stronger mentally, physically, and as a character, as a person, through. Yeah, it's not only jiu-jitsu. I also do Muay Thai now and again, and some other sports, but mainly jiu-jitsu. So that, yeah, it really got me out of my actually a negative spiral that I was entering when I was about 40. Like they say, it's a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
But
well, that's a very positive midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Like most people come away with it with a Mercedes or something. And then, you've got
or a motorcycle, getting remarried, whatever. It's and then they find after a couple of years that it's still not solving anything. So I think, it was a small habit of just going to the gym. Now I just, whatever happens, I know at work when something is not going very well, I know that nobody's gonna die if I'm stopping at 6 o'clock and go to the gym. I actually am able to produce better results if I went to the gym.
Yeah.
Because you're able to get your mind off certain topics, because you need to be 100% focused on not getting punched or kicked in the face.
It's like the Mike Tyson quote, everyone's got a plan till they get punched.
Yeah, punch in the face. Yeah, the best strategy is try to survive.
Yeah.
And keep on rolling. So I just keep going. And gradually I started learning that, and I started to apply it to everything. Like So for me, it's it was a life-changing experience. But it started with a decision to go to the gym, and I believe me, Connor, I wanted to go to the gym like a lot of times because they are next door. I thought, oh no, I'll do that next month, or I'll do that tomorrow, or today it's raining, I'm not going, or I'm too busy to actually do sports. And so the best decision was actually to get in there. That was the only decision that actually mattered.
Yeah.
Like get in the gym and start talking, and then say, okay, I'll give it a try. That's that for me was a life-changing moment, actually.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you managed to change your life. Congratulations on the purple belt.
Thank you very much.
And good luck on the road to the brown belt.
Yes.
That'll be very exciting.
You know what they say, like from a lot of people quit when they're either most people actually don't start doing jiu-jitsu anyway. So if you get your white belt, you're already a winner. But most people think when they get their blue belt, like, okay, I know some stuff, and then most people quit. They call it the blue belt blues, if I'm correct. People think they don't learn anymore. I can now say that when you're a purple belt, you have definitely learned a lot, even though it goes slower. It sort of seems to plateau a little bit. Because you're learning a lot of details instead of the big moves. Yeah. Right. So but once you get into a habit, once you hit the mat for 400 or 500 hours, it has become a habit that you cannot easily destroy, or unless you want to. But if you're purple belt, you probably don't want to stop unless you have very, very grave injuries. Yeah. But my plan is to keep on doing it until I'm like physically unable when I'm 95 or something.
That's a good plan.
Yes.
I saw this guy when I was in Brazil. I went to like a really old gym there. It's called like Edson Carvalho gym in Salvador. Yeah. And the coach there, what do you call them? The instructor, the leader, whatever. The guy whose gym it was, he had one of the white and red belts. And then I was like Googling that, and it said it was a minimum, I think, of 37 years training to get that belt. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. But this guy was like crippled, basically. He was like kind of like hobbling along. He was probably like, he must have been 70 or something like that. But I was like, 37 years of
and he
training.
would still be able to convert you into a pretzel.
Yeah, exactly. Even though he's like basically walking with a stick. I was like, oh my God, 37 years of martial arts training. But I think we will wrap it up here. But before we finish, it is customary for me to ask for your words of wisdom. Now, we've heard quite a few words of wisdom from you today, and I liked the when you're in a bad situation, just think of the correct technique to get out of it, which I like. But any other words of wisdom?
Well, I actually, at the start of this year, normally people start with the goals of the year. I want to do X, Y, Z, and I've been doing that for a large part of my life. And now I thought, wait, actually, I never do what I am supposed to do, or what I thought I would be doing in January. Let me just look at how do I want to live, and if I would die at the end of this year, like when would I have proud? Would I feel proud of myself if I would X, Y, Z? And then I think that one of the things, most important things, is to live healthy, like mentally healthy and physically healthy. So I do everything to do that, and also I want to be of value to others, because that is actually what for me happiness is helping others, or helping other people to overcome something or start something. So I wrote down a couple of rules for myself, just as a modus operandi, not like habits,
Yeah.
but shaped into how they're called, like one phrase sentences, just to keep yourself as reminding of stuff. And actually have I have a list of 7 or 8 lines that I keep repeating to myself.
Mantra, that's what it's
Like
called.
a mantra. Like one is just keep swimming. Like the from what was the movie called from Pixar, where you have this blue fish, Dory.
Yeah. Finding Nemo.
Yeah, Finding Nemo, and she had this saying like, "Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming." And this is what I keep repeating to myself when somebody's crushing me. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming,
Nice.
and then you just go, right? And then I have another one which I try a lot is leave everyone you meet better. So I mean, not everybody in the street, but if you meet somebody for like 5 or 10 minutes, try to leave them better, either with a piece of knowledge or that you have listened to them and help them in some way. Sometimes people just need to get something out of their chest, and so that's another rule that I try to follow a lot. Just have somebody leave everybody you meet better. So these for me are the 2 most important ones. I also have one that says create, don't consume. So I think that strong people leave the world better and they don't take from the world.
Yeah, net
They
positive.
give. So strong people add something to the world. And the last one, and that is, these are actually 2 that I have this song of "Don't Worry, Be Happy" in my mind. I tend to sometimes be a little bit not depressed, but slightly down or serious. So I repeat in my head like, "Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy." And you can do that by, and that's the final one is to radically accept the situation and improve from there. If you get into a bad situation, and there's no need in saying why did I get into it, that won't help you in any way. Like the Stoics, they say, okay, accept the situation, but improve from there. So this is what I'm trying to do as well. Like, accept the situation as it is, not don't accept it in the sense of, okay, whatever, but try to improve the situation from there. But don't go overthinking it, like, why am I here and why me, and
why did that person do this thing, and why has it happened to them?
Yeah. So I think that for me has helped a lot. Like, okay, something bad happens. I mean, everybody has bad stuff. Even the people that you think are mega successful or the happiest people on the planet, they actually have shitty stuff happening in their lives. Everybody has family members or friends that die, or accidents that happen, or things not going your way. Just accept it and try to improve it from there.
Accept and improve.
Accept and improve.
And find the correct technique for getting out of shit situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, this has been an amazing chat. We covered a lot of different points, and I've been really happy to talk to you. There's also another tradition I have on the podcast, which is I give you a little present.
Oh, wow.
It's a Quest for Wisdom t-shirt.
Oh, wow, cool. That's so nice. Thank you. Well, it looks so great. The Quest for Wisdom.
So
am I now an official member
You're
of the
now
club?
an official, yeah, exactly.
All right.
You're now an official member of the coolest club on the internet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So happy.
Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it.
I definitely did.
And looking forward to speaking to you again about stuff and keeping up to date with what's going on. And I wish you luck I wish you good fortune in all your projects.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for everyone for listening. Farewell, everybody. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to the Quest for Wisdom podcast with your host, Connor Monaghan. If you enjoyed the episode and would like to support the show, then please like it, subscribe, and leave a review on whichever platform you are using. This small act is a massive help and is hugely appreciated. You can find more information about all of our guests on thequestforwisdom.com and follow us at The Quest for Wisdom on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter for exciting updates. We also have a Patreon account for anyone who would like to contribute towards the running of the show. Finally, I would like to thank the Comedy Clubhouse in Barcelona for allowing us to record here and for their ongoing support. If you are ever in Barcelona, make sure to check it out for daily shows of comedy and performance art in English. Farewell for now.